Hello, I'm in a different setting to usual. I don't usually just react to something on my main channel. I like to have scripts. I like to just look into everything before I actually give my opinion and talk about things. But I've just had something come up on my timeline that genuinely just made me want to jump onto my computer and talk about it. Because Colleen Ballinger has returned. Not returned in a vlog, in a regular YouTube video. She is actually doing a sit-down interview about everything. Now, if you were around in 2023, you would remember, I think everyone remembers, come on, let's be real, we all remember the ukulele video, we remember the serious nature of the stuff that Colleen Ballinger was accused of. And of course, this all involved Adam McIntyre, who was a fellow commentary channel, and the other day, well yesterday, I saw he uploaded this video titled Colleen Ballinger, and basically, it was him reacting to a trailer clip of Colleen on this podcast, and it didn't look good. It looked like things were going to be spun in a very negative way, and this is now fully out there. We have a full hour podcast, and basically what I want to do is sit down, take a look, work out, is Colleen going to take accountability? Is she going to accept that she was ultimately in the wrong? Not just ultimately, but just outright completely in the wrong. If you need to remind yourself of what happened in 2023, I highly recommend going to watch some videos from that era just before you watch this, because there were a lot of serious allegations. And obviously the main one being Colleen sent her underwear to an underage Adam McIntyre. This is something that happened, it's confirmed, but there was also a lot of other inappropriate behavior happening in group chats where Colleen would speak to her young fans in group chats about very inappropriate things. And overall, yes, it led to Colleen being cancelled, or how I like to know it as, being held accountable for her actions. And now this pretty much is the first time she has sat down in length. There's been things here and there. She's referenced cancellations and stuff like that. There was a recent video that went viral of her crying to a Taylor Swift song. But this is the first time I think I've actually seen her sit down and talk about things. So I'm going to give her, well, I'm not going to give her a chance. I know what this is going to be. I'll say that if she genuinely, admits to her faults, it's not my place to forgive. It's not my place to say even if she can earn forgiveness. But I will listen. I will listen, and we will all listen, and that's what we're going to do now. Now, this is going to be very unscripted. It's going to be a very unprofessional to my usual videos, but I just wanted to sit down and watch this. I usually put this on the second channel, but I thought, why not do that on the main channel? So here we are. Let's get into it.
Today, we're sitting down with Colleen Ballinger, actress, comedian, and YouTuber, best known for...
I mean, that's definitely a stretch. Comedian, I don't know about that.
Her character, Miranda sings.
If you were anywhere online in 2023, you probably saw Colleen's name trending. It's because she was accused of crossing personal boundaries with fans, some of whom were minors, and the response was intense.
She posted a response video that made the whole situation blow up even more.
She did.
And what followed was one of the biggest public cancellations we've seen in a while.
Now, I know, I think it is fair to refer to it as a cancellation, but as I said just now, I feel like it should just be referred to as being held accountable for your actions. I feel like being cancelled is a very different thing. It's like when you make a dodgy tweet and somebody pulls up a tweet from 5 years ago. You've got a political opinion that you no longer align with. People get really mad at that despite the tweet being 6 years old. That's like a cancellation. To me, with what happened with Colleen, she sent her underwear to a fan. That's an actual serious thing there. That's not, oh, this person wrote a really nasty tweet. No, this is serious stuff. So I just feel a little bit uncomfortable when we kind of mix this into internet tea and drama. I have seen Adam McIntyre speak about these things. The stuff that happened with him and Colleen has clearly impacted him. I watched his 20-minute video about this yesterday, and even with just 1 minute of a clip about this, it was very upsetting for him to watch. And I can understand why, because Colleen loves to spin the narrative in this situation, which you're going to see.
This is actually the first time that we're meeting Colleen, and we've decided to do it now because we feel like enough time has passed for reflection and learning and for a real conversation.
I mean, I feel like she should have had this real conversation 2 years ago. This is like the Ned Netformer thing. Of course, they're different situations, but when he uploaded that podcast of Ariel, the first thought in my mind was, why did you not do this 2 years ago? Why did you run away and now you've come back when there's less heat and now you're hoping we're going to accept it? To me, it seems very deliberate to run away, let everything die down, let all the other YouTube drama take over, all the other YouTube situations, all the cancellations, all the very serious situations, just go over everything that you've done, and we all forget about it and move on with our lives. Then you come back and then you hope maybe now, maybe they'll forgive me. But I'm not that guy. I'm not going to say that I forgive her, and I will listen. As I said, I will listen, but I think it is convenient it's took 2 years for this.
Station behind the headlines.
It's easy to form opinions based on what we see online, but harder to sit down face to face and ask questions about what's really happened, what someone's taken from it, and how they're moving forward.
Our goal isn't to revisit every detail, but to understand the human side of the story that
What's the human side? Like, I don't know if these guys are going to be combative against her. I don't know if they're going to be addressing everything. Like, I know they just said they're not, but I don't know if they're going to be basically not coming after Colleen, but being critical of her actions. The first minute, I don't know if I get the vibe that that's going to go down that route. I feel like if we're going to have this conversation, we do actually need to go through every single detail, because there are a lot of details. There's a lot of serious stuff that took place over the years between Colleen Ballinger and her fans.
Came very public.
So today, Colleen is here to share her perspective in her own words, to share what she's learned, what she regrets, and what she hopes all of us take away from it now.
And we're here to listen.
Here's our conversation with Colleen Ballinger.
All right, let's get into it.
Now that I'm a mom, obviously every choice I make, I think about how it could affect my children. And I wish that I went into my interactions with my fans with that same mindset of like, everything I say can affect them, and think about how this can affect these people that you're interacting with.
I mean, first off, straight away, I'm feeling like I'm being a little bit manipulated here. It's giving Netformer once again of the thing of like, when they do something terrible, and I understand that you learn from your mistakes in life, but I feel like Colleen was a grown woman when she was going into these group chats, when she was sending things to Adam McIntyre, when she was having inappropriate conversations. I don't think you need to get into a position of where you're inappropriately messaging your young fans to realize that that's a bad thing. I don't think that you need the entire internet to be hounding you for you to realize messaging minors is a bad thing as a grown woman, especially in any case it's bad, but Colleen Ballinger is a massive content creator with millions of fans. Well, at least she used to have millions of fans, but you know what I'm saying here. It's even worse in that extent because there's even more of a power dynamic there. But either way, I don't think that you need to have this traumatizing event of the internet coming after you to realize that messaging minors is a bad thing. So I already feel a little bit, manipulated here. I get that she's going to be like, I've learned and I've changed. And maybe she has, maybe she has learned from this stuff. But I feel like this excuse is the same thing Netformer used of, I'm now practicing empathy. I'm now practicing gratitude. And it's like, why did it take you cheating on your wife to come to the conclusion that empathy is something that you should practice?
Next guest tonight is one of the most popular YouTubers in the world. Her videos have garnered more than 1 billion views online.
You all know her as Miranda Sings.
Please welcome Colleen Ballinger.
It is crazy how, massive she was in the world. I'm sorry to keep on. If you're going to get mad at me for cutting you through, this is why I'm here. I'm here to give commentary, but it is crazy how massive she was. She's on... this guy shot. I know who this guy is. I just don't know his name. Is this Stephen Colbert? I think maybe.
Billion subscribers, nearing 2 billion views. Now a Netflix show.
You're famous. You're famous.
I also just don't get it because she's not funny. I don't want to be rude, but I've never understood the Miranda Sings thing. It's just weird.
We're both famous.
Colleen has written a best-selling self-help book.
Again, also, I don't get it. I just don't get who buys children. We know it's children because she was messaging the children, but either way, I digress.
Is touring around the world and has appeared with the likes of Jimmy Fallon and Jerry Seinfeld.
YouTube star Colleen Ballinger, who's better known as her online persona Miranda Sings, is facing significant backlash. She's been accused of having...
Yeah, let's skip through this. Let's just get to the actual starting because I don't want to get copyrighted.
Podcast, we have somebody who you definitely know, because if you know YouTube,
you know her.
You know
I do.
her. You have to
I know
her.
I know
Colleen Ballinger.
That is it. That is my name.
You said it right.
You did.
I get so nervous about like butchering people's names.
It's like literally the most easy. I can't pronounce things, but it's like the most easy name to pronounce. Why are we doing this?
Even though I know your name is
because everybody butchers
and I've
hers.
said it so many times.
It wouldn't bother me if you did. Most people don't say it right. My whole life it was Colleen Ballinger.
Ballinger.
Yeah,
I'm Mayday, and so
I've never heard anyone call her Colleen Ballinger. Sorry, can we just get past this? I'm going to go on 2 times speed. This is something that I'm going to do when they kind of speak nonsense, and I just want to get to the main stuff. So, skip forward if you want to get to that.
Mayday, because it's not with a middle Y.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah, my name is Raven. People call me Janet. It's so weird. I don't understand.
Okay,
I really appreciate you. We're really happy you're here.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, there is a very big elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And I think that we just have to address it.
Immediately.
All right, let's go back onto the 1 time speed.
Why Miranda?
Oh, God! I've got another person in the room. Stop. Just get into the actual topic.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was thinking about that. I was like, how do we address this?
I know. It's pretty massive.
Yeah, it is.
I think it is pretty weird to just jump onto this whole podcast setting and the immediate thing is to be really comedic and laughy. Like, let's be real here. Like, let's be really, really real here. I feel a bit cringy saying it because I feel like the worst people on the internet use this argument, but it is a valid argument, but I always see it used in very disingenuous and dishonest ways to kind of, basically, what I'm going to say is, imagine if what Colleen did, right, and imagine it was a man to a younger girl. Imagine. I don't think that they would be getting treated in the same way. Now, by the way, I'm not being like one of those like anti-woke YouTubers who it's like feminism bad. I'm not doing that. But I am saying I feel like when it's a woman coming after a younger boy, it doesn't get treated with the serious nature that it should. And I feel like if this was a man and then a story of a younger girl, say Adam McIntyre was a younger girl and he sent his underwear to a younger girl, regardless if you think that was for comedy or not, I feel like we would be handling this in a very different way. I don't think we would be jumping into this podcast straight away with a comedic element. I think it would be serious from the very beginning. Just go look at Adam McIntyre's videos. He is visibly upset in them watching this stuff, understandably so, because these people are having a comedic chill sit down with Colleen. I thought this was going to be but from the beginning, for the intro they gave, I thought this was going to be some serious, we're sitting down, we're getting down to the business, but it's not. Let's start off with some comedy.
I'm sorry. I mean, luckily for you, she's been gone for a while, so you don't have anyone to compete with that name. But
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, do you actually want the answer to that question?
Yes, I do.
Why Miranda? Why did I name her? Why does she exist?
Why did you name her? We'll get
Why
into
did you
other
name her
stuff
and
later.
then that?
I was in college doing a play, like a 1-act thing, some student-run thing, and I was cast as
I don't care. Let's just skip through this.
Yes, 38.
We're the same age.
You're 38?
I'm 38.
You look a lot.
This is what I'm saying. I forgot that Colleen Ballinger is 38. So when these things were all happening between her, Adam McIntyre, and her fans, she would have been approaching 30 years old. Like, she would be getting there. So when I hear the argument she's going to get into later of she is really only now learned because she's become a parent about, like, the boundaries that she should have had previously, I think that's such bollocks. Any grown adult knows that you should have boundaries of children.
Younger than that.
But thank you.
You look like what did you say before we started? A young British boy.
Yes, I'm a young British
The loving
boy.
words I heard them speak to each other before we started
But
filming.
let's talk about it though, because you come from a big family, and I'm sure that when you have that many siblings, like, you're just able to say whatever and blurt it out, and it's like joking and moving around. And one thing that I learned when I was on The View is that there's a difference between live in front of the audience and what's happening at home. And it took me a while to kind of learn that conversation. So to slowly just kind of talk about it, do you feel like you're at home when you're in front of the camera and you feel like that, or have you?
Totally.
Why are we talking about this? Like, why are we going through this right now? This isn't the topic of conversation to why anyone's here. Let's be real, people. We're not sat down to listen to Raven and Miranda speak with Colleen Ballinger. We're here to hear Colleen Ballinger defend herself, apologize, because what's this video titled? It's called Colleen Ballinger's Actual Apology Video. That's why I'm here. I'm not here to learn about the life and, whatever of Colleen Ballinger. Just give me the details.
And that was the whole thing, right? I mean, when I started doing YouTube, it was like kind of when YouTube started.
Yeah.
So the whole appeal of it, I feel like back then, was that these people who were getting famous online, they weren't celebrities. They were real people. We were in our home. Like, that was the appeal of it, is that we were your friend. You're, someone who's just, I'm talking to you from my living room, from my kitchen, talking about my day. So yeah, definitely it's really hard to separate the two between like what's private home life and then what's part of the public persona. To me, it was always one and the same. So, and that was, that was a hard thing for me to figure out the lines and boundaries of that, because I thought that was the whole appeal of like back then, when I started doing YouTube, is that I wasn't.
Wow, this is such pointless information. Let's skip forward again. I don't know why we're not getting into the conversation straight away.
Become a YouTuber, because that wasn't a thing. There weren't influencers. It was just
still not in the conversation.
I don't like how you pronounced this word, and so I mess up how I pronounce words more moving forward. I tried to.
Okay,
I would do it more, because I was like, who sits and just writes like these are strangers to me. I don't know these people. And again, this is when it was all new. Like this is brand new.
Sorry, Kelly.
Yeah, they thought it was so funny that people couldn't tell if she was real or not, and so people thought it was real, and
meaning they thought
Miranda was a real person.
Like that was you.
Yeah, they thought it was. So for a while, that was it. Like people thought Miranda was a real person, and so
this is such a mess already. But we're 10 minutes into this episode, and nothing has been said in Colleen Ballinger's actual apology video.
Whatever people said they didn't like in the comments, I would do it more, because I was like, who sits and just writes like these are strangers to me. I don't know these people. And again, this is when it was all new. Like this is brand new.
Sorry, Kelly, it's still happening.
Oh yeah, but I'm a little aware that it's happening.
These comments are crazy.
It's a lot different now. It's much different now than it was.
So I guess what they're talking about here is the early era of cancellations and criticism on the internet of with her character Miranda Sings. People couldn't tell if it was her or a fake person, just a persona. At the end of the day, I don't really care about this. Miranda Sings is like probably one of the most unfunny things I think that's ever, blessed the timeline of YouTube. I think honestly, like if you go back and watch a Miranda Sings video, if you're a former fan, you will look at the content and you may feel a little bit of shame thinking to yourself, what was going on? What was going on at that point in my life where I know what was going on. You were 10 years old and Colleen Ballinger was probably messaging you. That's a joke, by the way.
When they started trickling in, it was like, they'd say, I don't like how you pronounced this word. And so I'd mess up how I pronounce words more moving forward. I tried to egg on the comments a little bit in the beginning, because I thought it was funny that people thought it was a real character.
It sounds like you were doing it sounds like you were doing performance art and having the
performance art. Like, oh God, is it really performance art? We have seen some of the videos of Colleen Ballinger playing Miranda Sings. It was actually one of the things I criticized in my series about Colleen Ballinger. I found some of the old videos of where she was in the character of Miranda Sings with Jojo Siwa, and she was saying really inappropriate things to a very young Jojo Siwa on camera, and it was uploaded to her YouTube channel. I don't really know if I can call that art. To me, it's more just puke. But yes, let's continue.
Audience inform you of where to go next, knowing that a little tinge of under the note is very appealing at times, right? And that's how you kind of gained your following, by just a little bit of irritation to where people could hate and could love at the same time.
Right. Yeah, I think the appeal in the beginning was that people couldn't tell if it was real or not. And then when people figured out that it wasn't real, they felt like they were in on a joke or something. They were in on it, and that was fun for them. And like I said in the beginning, it was an older audience for the first few years of my career, and I was doing a lot of nightclubs and stuff like that.
Like how old do you think?
I just graduated college, so there were people my age, but it was the gay theater community. It was like a lot of like older gay men that would like come to my shows, and
this is an era I didn't know about, the gay community embracing Colleen Ballinger and her having an older audience. I feel like if it maybe stayed like that, maybe the timeline would be completely different, but it didn't stay like that. So why are we still talking about this?
So, my comedy was it was crass and over the top and whatever, but they liked that they were in on...
Crass and over the top is definitely a way to describe some of the things that she was saying to Jojo Siwa when she was 13 years old.
This joke. And Miranda was a lot more subtle at the beginning, too. Over time, it became this like really dramatic, more cartoony, like intense character, but like in the beginning, it was much more subtle. And over time, as people commented what they didn't like, I would do things more. So in the beginning, people, I think, were drawn to the fact of, is this an actor or not? And then once they figured that out, and then the audience kind of grew and changed over the years.
Why are we talking about this? I'm going to skip ahead. I'm going to pause, and I'm going to try and find an actual relevant piece of information to talk about here. Because I'm not going to lie to you. Again, I don't care about the origin form of Colleen Ballinger's character, Miranda Sings. Like, it's not an art piece. It's just unfunny stuff that happened on YouTube 20 years ago. I don't need to know about it. I'm here for your apology. So let's get into it. Okay, so this is where the conversation, I believe, starts. I clicked forward, and this is where they start to get into it, around 15 minutes in. So at this point, I imagine Colleen is a little bit more comfortable. Maybe you can use that as the reason to why they got into, like, her background, her story, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of laughter, maybe to loosen her up and then get into the actual conversation. If that's true, then maybe I can understand it.
You had the rug pulled out from underneath you. We will get into those and kind of talk a little bit about some of the comments people have made and how certain situations have made watchers and viewers feel. But I first want to ask you, when you first got that ting about, oh no, something is going astray, what happened personally.
Okay, let's go off 2 times here. Let's actually fully listen to this.
Internally to you.
It was kind of a slow build. And I feel like I felt it brewing for a little bit first, It was a very jarring experience. And first, I think I should say, when my audience kind of grew and it went from this older audience to, it spread and there was now a lot more teens watching me. I didn't adjust my comedy very much because I was like, well, they found me doing this.
But didn't she just say that over time her comedy changed? I'm pretty sure we just heard her in her introduction state that when she was doing, content for adults, it was a lot more, I guess, on the nose. It was a lot less what it became. So I feel like she's already lying here. We just 10 minutes ago heard her explain that when she used to make content right at the beginning, it was for an older audience and it was a lot less exaggerated and it was just, more for adults. And then it changed as time went on, which is effectively changing as the younger audience come in. So what you're saying here, based on your own words in this exact same conversation, is not true.
This is what they like and this is what I like. So I'm going to keep doing the comedy they like. And I did adjust it a little bit over time.
I don't get it. Did you adjust it or didn't you adjust it? Because you've said 3 different things now. At the beginning, you said you had completely. Then you said you hadn't. And now you said you slightly have. What's the story here? It's not a good start, to be honest with you.
One thing that I didn't do, and I should have been much more careful about, is I didn't adjust my interactions with my fans. And that's something I regret a lot because, like I said earlier, the difference between me and
Were you sending underwear to adult fans as well? Is that something you did?
A mainstream celebrity, at least in the beginning, was that I was attainable and look, she'll talk to us. She'll interact with us and she's talking to us from her living room. She'll talk about anything. And she's so open and she'll talk one-on-one with us. She meets us in person at her shows and whatnot. And we know her, and I didn't think about when I was interacting with my fans, I didn't think about a power dynamic that could have been there. I didn't think about a parasocial...
Now, this is immediately complete bollocks. I'm sorry, but I cannot take what she's saying here seriously. Like, you do not need a growing, block in your life, a bad thing to happen to you, something that really makes you think and learn. You don't need that to happen to realize that inappropriately conversing with your child fans is bad. That sounds crazy. My neighbor's probably going to hear me saying that and be like, what is that man talking about? It's so ridiculous what she is doing here. But again, I know what she's doing here. I've just done multiple videos, again, as I said earlier, about Ned Former. And this is the Ned Former, party trick of being like, oh, there are all these bad things that I did. But now in hindsight, I've realized that those things were bad. And I would have done it differently if I had, the brain power and, thoughts that I have now after this big learning experience. And it's like, that's great, buddy. That's really cool. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really change anything. You've done the things that you've done, but also, as I was just originally saying, you should not need these life lessons to teach you to not converse with minors in the way you are conversing with them. You are highly inappropriate to a monumental degree in these group chats, but also sending certain pieces of clothing to your young fans. Do you really believe that you genuinely just need to go through life lessons to realize that these things are bad? I don't know why she's talking about boundaries. Obviously, we all have our personal boundaries in life, but I feel like they're instinctual. You just have a level of instinctual morality in your brain. One of them being, don't inappropriately converse with minors. So immediately I think she's being manipulative here. Immediately I'm getting the PR team coming out here, which again happened with Ned Former. Different situations, cheating on the wife, conversing with my obviously different things, but I'm just getting the very Hollywood LA influencer talk here of, oh, I've now learned to install barriers in my life between me and my fans. And it's like, great. We were all doing that before any controversy ever happened to any of us. It's not starting.
Relationship. And I should have been more responsible in thinking about that, but I didn't even think of myself that way. I was like, yeah, we are friends. I think
You were talking to children. You knew their age. You were conversing with children. On the regular, by the way. You were pretty close with a lot of these kids. Like that, again, kids. Hear what I'm saying here. Kids. There is no justification, but she is doing that here. She is trying to justify her actions here by stating, oh, I just thought they were my friends, and yes, obviously I should have installed barriers, and I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry. But that's how you say it. That's how you say, I'm sorry. But if you're truly sorry, you should just say, guys, you know what? I messed up. And I'm really sorry. There should be no 15-minute section it takes to get to this. It should straight out be, I'm sorry, I did all these bad things, and I messed up. It shouldn't be, oh, I thought you were my friends. I thought you were this. I thought you were that. I should have put barriers in place. No, because now you're trying to limit the damage. You're trying to make it sound much better than it actually is. You're trying to turn it into this learning experience when it's not a learning experience. Because these are things the average human being just has in their brain already. Whereas for some reason with you, that wasn't in your brain. Is that what you're telling us? To be honest, that makes me even more concerned.
Felt the same way. And so for me, I was like, well, I'm just talking to my friends. I talk to all of them like they're my friends, my sisters, all the fans. And
they're not your sisters, though. They are children. You've admitted that you were getting a younger audience. Why would like, I don't understand I get why she's doing it. It's PR and she's trying to manipulate everyone into thinking that she's changed, learned, and grown from the situation. But if I'm being honest, I don't think that there is a resolution to this situation. It's happened and she needs to accept it. But what this is her desperately doing damage control 2 years later when the things have died down, no one cares about Colleen anymore, and she's hoping that she can resurrect some of her previous audience by manipulating them. And it's probably going to work.
I definitely should have been more careful with the way I was joking with them and the things I was saying to them.
Were you joking when you sent underwear? That's a weird joke to make.
Do you feel like not having a team earlier in your career hindered you from making better decisions?
What are you talking about? A team? I don't have a team. Every YouTuber I know doesn't have a team. You might have an editor, but it's not really a team. We don't have PR teams to say, by the way, boys, can I give you $35,000 a year? No, actually, that's the UK, national average wage. Can I give you $70,000 a year to tell me not to message children? Can you tell me not to message people inappropriately in group chats? Can you do that? Because I need that, because I'm Colleen Ballinger. Makes no sense. It is weird that we're even suggesting, did Colleen need a team to not message kids? Like, let's be real. That's exactly what they're saying here. And I'm starting to get the vibe that these people aren't going to be as critical as I kind of hoped they were. And that is a damn shame. It is a damn shame that these people are the people taking Colleen to task, and they're absolutely not taking her to task. It's asking silly questions like this.
I definitely wish I had someone to give me advice.
What advice do you need? Oh, Colleen, yeah, don't message kids. Don't message, that's a bad thing. It's like, oh my God, what are we doing? Why are we doing? Why are we really saying this?
I was with that group of like the first YouTubers that kind of like rose any.
Yeah, and the problem is a lot of those first YouTubers actually all did message kids. Now, obviously, in different contexts and different stories, but I just think these original YouTubers have not learned. How are we 2 years on? She's had 2 years to contemplate, and she is still not learning and changing. She is still trying to twist the narrative, even though the narrative it's set in stone. The ink is dry. It cannot be rewritten. You cannot change this in front of us. We were all there. I have like 9 hours of videos on Colleen Ballinger. Nothing has changed, and it will not change. And for some reason, you thought it was a good idea to come on this podcast and try and manipulate everybody into believing that it's actually not what it was, and you're different now.
Sort of stardom or fame.
And if you are different now, by the way, it doesn't change that these things have happened.
In the beginning. So it's not like there were people before me doing this that I could look to and ask questions about. This was a new thing. Yeah. And so message your peers saying, by the way, guys, is messaging kids bad?
they'll probably say, yeah, it is bad. Well, YouTube back in the day, maybe not all of them, but a good 75% of them will say, you know what? Yeah, Colleen, that is bad. And I'm a little bit concerned you even need to ask that question. Because again, you don't need teams to tell you to not message your young fans or to not send them underwear. You don't need a team to say, that's a really bad idea. Why are you even thinking that in the first place?
And I'm not saying that as an excuse. You
know,
there's plenty of other people who rose to fame who didn't interact with their fans. And you can
interact with your fans. You can converse with your fans. You can do that. But you weren't just doing that. Let's be real. You were not just doing that.
Was something that I felt was...
Again, it kind of says to me, by the way, of her saying like, oh, they weren't interacting with the fans. That kind of says to me she doesn't even know why we're actually angry at her. We're not mad at you for conversing with fans. We're mad at you for inappropriately conversing with fans.
An appeal to why people were watching me at all. And I felt such pressure to like make sure I made
Are you gonna seriously tell us that you felt pressure to inappropriately inappropriately message children? Are you mental? Is that actually what you're doing right now? Good God, woman, have some shame. Genuinely, what are you saying?
Fans happy because I wanted to do anything that they wanted, and I wanted to write back to every letter and respond to every message, and whatever they asked for, I wanted to give them and do because they were the reason I had the career that I have. If it weren't for them...
You are approaching your 30s. You are 38 years old, and to me it's clear that you haven't actually took any accountability in this situation. You should realize that, if you're... Like Colleen, think about this, man. There are rock stars out there, pop stars out there, K-pop stars out there with billions of followers, man. Billions. People love them. They adore them. But, they don't just say, I've got to appease every fan I've got. I've got to message my underage fans. I've got to do that inappropriately. They don't do that. They realize, I've got fans, young fans, and obviously they may want interactions, but you're the grown adult. You're the one approaching 30. You're the one that has to take the responsibility to realize that is inappropriate and you are not to do that. I don't even know why I need to spell it out like this.
I wouldn't have the life that I have and the amazing career that I had.
She's genuinely saying that she was worried that she'd lose her career if she didn't inappropriately message her children. I'm sorry if I keep on pausing this, by the way, but it's like every word she says is mental.
And it sounds like everything you were doing online was from a place of trying to please your fans and connect with your fans and
not lose them.
Oh God. My brain's going to explode. Why are you doing this? What is going on? Why have you sat down with the person dubbed as an internet creep and you've decided to say that you think she did it because she was worried about losing her fans? Do you hear your English language coming out of your mouth right now? It's not a good thing to say what you're saying. You're making excuses. You may not think you are. You may say you're not doing that, but I'm hearing you make excuses for Colleen Ballinger, and that's probably the only reason she decided to come onto this podcast, because she knew she was going to be allowed to make excuses and they were going to make some for her.
Yeah,
that's pressure.
But
no, it's not. There is no pressure in not messaging your underage fans.
Even with all of that, I wish first that there was someone there to help guide me and say like...
You do not need somebody to guide you into not messaging your underage fans when you are approaching the grown age of a 30-year-old woman.
Hey, this could look bad taken out of context.
You do not need somebody to say, hey, I don't think you should do that because it would look bad in context of messaging your underage fans inappropriately.
This could look like... this could make someone uncomfortable or,
You do not need somebody to say to you, messaging your underage fans would make them uncomfortable.
I wish there was someone there to kind of help guide me.
You do not need to wish that somebody was there to guide you to not message your underage fans inappropriately. These are all things that every human being on the planet just does naturally. Well, I say 99.99% of humans on the planet does naturally. All of us just realize that, there are these natural boundaries in law, but also natural boundaries that say to you, don't do those inappropriate things. They don't even say it. You just know not to. You don't even have any inclination to even want to do that. Obviously, I'm more concerned about why you didn't have those boundaries set in your brain in the first place, but also why you wanted to message them in the ways that you did. You could say that you were lonely or whatever, but at the end of the day, I know plenty of lonely people, but they're not messaging underage fans.
But at the same time, I'm also disappointed in myself that I didn't know better, because other people did. So why did I? That's something that I've had to work through, is like...
Yeah, you needed 2 years to work on the fact that not messaging underage fans is probably the best way to go about your career. Oh, God, Jesus.
Why didn't I think more about this?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying, but you're making excuses.
Didn't I think more about, a parasocial relationship? But
no, it's not. Oh, God, stop. The buzzwords are out again. Ned Former-esque technique here of getting all the buzzwords out. Oh, guys, I realized that I was in a parasocial relationship. No, you were in an incredibly inappropriate parasocial relationship. Add in the key words there. You were so parasocially involved. I hate... My dog is sniffing on the floor. I apologize. I hate the word parasocial, because these influencers, when they get caught out, love to use it like it's some get out of jail free card of, oh, guys, I've realized and understood now what the context of a parasocial relationship is, and I just didn't get it before, but now I do. Well, congratulations, buddy. Doesn't really change anything, though. It just makes me think you're even more of a weirdo for not knowing about these things.
Answers to those questions?
I think... It all boils down to me just really wanting to make them the people pleasing tendency of like, I want to do this because this will make they're begging me to.
You wanted them.
Yeah, I'm sure Jimmy Savile said the same thing. Obviously, I know, different sort of case. I know, but come on, stop using this excuse of I wanted to please. It sounds weird. It's because it is weird.
To love you.
I wanted them to love me. I wanted them to like my content. I wanted them to be happy with what I was putting out there, because like I said, everything that I had was because they supported me. And
guys, I can assure you, you are the reason that I have everything that I have, but I am not going to send you my underwear. All right? I'm not going to do it. I just don't think it's the thing that I really want to do. I've just realized, guys. I was so tempted to send my underwear to my fans, but God, my neighbors heard me say that. I was so tempted. I was so close to do it. I went to the Royal Mail and I said, fucking 24-hour, please, mate. 24-hour express delivery. I need to send my underwear to my fans. But then God sent down his lightning and it went into my heart and it went into my brain, and I realized, parasocial relationships are bad, guys. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord for his life lessons. Oh wow, I was so close to sending my underwear out that it was almost a tragedy. But thankfully, because of my beliefs and Colleen Ballinger, I've now realized that sending underwear to fans is bad. Thanks, Colleen. Because if I didn't ever watch this podcast, I would have went down to Calvin Klein and I would have bought a load of underwear and I would have just sent it out to everyone. Million people take my... I'm not going to continue this now.
So, that's what I was trying to do, but it would have been so much better for me to think about their well-being and if this would affect anyone in a negative way. Like, that's what I wish I had done.
When did you realize?
Did it really, like, did you need to have some, like, discussion in your brain to really realize that, it's bad to do the things that you were doing? Like, is that some, like, really, you were in your late 20s, man. Come on. I'm 28. I know all of these things. Any 28-year-old does. Stop with this absolute nonsense.
Is that...
Also, why are these two not pressing her? Why are they not pressing her on this? It's actually quite shameful what's going on here. I understand letting, the person speak, but they're not even pressing her, in my opinion.
People were starting to be negatively impacted.
Oh, man.
They were negatively impacted the moment she sent the messages.
There's multiple moments. Because I said, it was a slow build, but like it was I'd see people who had been fans for a long time would come to every show, were commenting on everything that at this point I'd recognize because I would talk to them and I knew them. And to see them slowly drop off one at a time was like, oh, they're very upset. That was painful and really sad. And I wish I had listened more.
You don't need to listen to anyone to know that it's bad to message. And I'm sorry to keep on harping on this line, but as long as she keeps on saying, I wish I did this, I wish I had somebody to tell me to do this, I wish I said sorry, until she stops saying this and just says, right now, guys, I completely messed up, I'm going to keep on saying you don't need all of this stuff that you've been saying you wish you had in your life at the time to realize that messaging kids inappropriately is bad.
And all of it happened. I was so caught up in the things that weren't true that were being said about me that I feel like I wasn't listening to the things that were true and the things that I did make mistakes.
Absolute bollocks. What she is saying here is just a complete load of nonsense. You did not... it's actually frustrating. I saw Adam McIntyre getting frustrated at this exact clip yesterday, and I completely get why. I am not directly implicated in this story whatsoever, but hearing what she is doing here is genuinely disgusting. It's shameful, and she needs to be called out on it. What do you mean that you were so focused on all of the lies that you couldn't focus on the truth? Bearing in mind, the truth was she was in group chats inappropriately messaging her fans. She was saying inappropriate things to Jojo Siwa's face when Jojo Siwa was a child. She was sending out her underwear to her fans. This is what she was doing, and I don't think any lies or false rumors out there distracts from those horrible, horrible truths. But the reason she's saying it, it's a James Charles tactic now. We'll move on from Ned for now. We'll go on to James Charles. James Charles loves to be like, there's 40 different fake allegations out there about me. And there is. Fake allegations are bad even if the person has real allegations against them, mainly due to the fact that it dilutes the original story. And now she is using the technique that James Charles loves to use of where he's like, guys, there are all of these fake stories out there, and he loves to point into that direction of the fake stories, but he rarely ever speaks about the real stories. And the reason for that is because it puts a thought into their fans' mind of, oh, there are all of these false stories out there, then maybe all of the ones that people think are true are also false, you know? And I think that's what she's doing here, in my opinion. There is no need to bring up fake stories. And by the way, in all of the videos that I made about Colleen, the majority of the stories that I went through, I believe, were true.
And take responsibility for those things.
You've not taken any responsibility. It's been 2 years. We're 21 minutes into this new podcast with your first appearance speaking about this in 2 years, and you have not taken an ounce of responsibility. If anything, in my opinion, you have regressed. This shows that you haven't even learned to the point of where you were at when you were in your ukulele video.
I was like, well, they're saying all these other things about me that are lies, and that's not true. And I was angry about those things, and I wish that I had just paused and listened for a second.
There's a lot of things that were said about you. There's been allegations.
No questions on any of the things that you just said there. No, going a little bit combative against her. Just that. That's all we're going to get. Absolute joke.
Grooming. Behavior. Or how do you, what do you think they're talking about?
Go on.
That one is, that's the one that got me the hardest. When that allegation came up, that's when I was out. I was done. Yeah. Because
what do you mean you were out? What do you mean you were done? What does that mean?
It was devastating and shocking. It was very shocking because I know that my intention and my actions have...
I don't care about your intentions and actions. You were in group chats with children inappropriately sending them messages. The intention you speak of doesn't change what you did.
Never been...
The behavior you normalized to those children doesn't get changed. You can't change that. You can't go back and change the past of what you did. You can't. I'm sorry, but you can't. And also, Adam McIntyre was harassed for years because he was called a liar in your community. Adam spoke up about this for years. I remember it was the first video I ever saw of his. He spoke up about it, and Colleen never said anything. Because when he first spoke up, he was called a liar. Colleen never did anything. Throughout this podcast so far, she spoke about how these things gradually built up over time. She could have, if she really wanted to, if she truly realized how bad things were, she could have took accountability for her actions years ago. But she allowed Adam McIntyre to be called a liar by her community, and she did nothing about it. And that's how I know this is all bollocks, this is all nonsense, because she could have corrected the timeline 4 years ago, but she did nothing, and only 4 years later is she saying anything, because 2 years ago the internet actually woke up and realized, whoa, there's an overwhelming amount of evidence here, this person is clearly a wrong-un, and that guy who was speaking about it 2 years ago or 3 years ago was actually in the right, despite we called him a liar for years on end. So no, I don't believe anything Colleen is saying here.
Fueled with the desire to manipulate or groom anybody ever. That has never been something I have done or will ever do.
You can say that, but your messages and your interactions and your actions reflect of that description. Now, I don't know if she directly is that, but I can understand why people have called her that over the years. I believe in my video, I called her a creep, something on those lines, but I can also see why people call her a groomer, because her actions, she was in inappropriate she was in regular group chats, making them inappropriate. She was a grown woman speaking to her underage fans in very bizarre ways, sending out things that she shouldn't have sent out. The way she acted with Jojo Siwa, she can say that it wasn't her intent, but unfortunately, I don't really think that matters. Your actions were incredibly inappropriate, and what you're doing now is just making excuses.
And it's a very serious accusation.
Very serious.
Mm-hmm. So when those kind of words started being thrown around, that's when I kind of
when you got the ukulele out.
I kind of shut down, and it really was, that was devastating to hear. And, you asked, what does that mean to other people? That's why this was a hard thing for me to know how to navigate, because it wasn't about what did she do or what didn't she do.
It was. What are you doing? Yes, it was. This whole thing was about what you did. This wasn't about a word. I think some people out there might say that she isn't a groomer. Some people might say she deserves to, face all these consequences for what she did, but they may not think she fits into that category. But everyone agrees that Colleen Ballinger did something extremely wrong for a long period of time. So no, this is exactly to do with what you did. This isn't to do with just a word. And I think what she's doing here, again, is she's trying to manipulate people into thinking that what she did was actually not perfectly fine, but not as bad as you originally thought.
More about what was her intention behind some of these actions, I think. And my intention was being decided for me by people talking.
Exactly. This is what I mean. She's trying to make it sound better than it actually is. She'll probably say sorry in this. She'll probably say, I shouldn't have done that. But she's talking about how things have been rewritten, how her intention has been rewritten by other individuals out there. And now she's going to tell us what her intention is. Well, I don't care about what your intention is. The reality is I am focusing on your actions. In this case, I don't need to focus on your intentions because you did inappropriate things multiple times that the average human being knows from a base-setting human being level is wrong and inappropriate. If anyone else did this, we would say it's wrong and inappropriate. We came after people like James Charles for being wrong and inappropriate. We've come after other content creators for it. And sure, the context is different every single time. Sometimes people are being far more predatory than the others, but at the end of the day, you did something. You did a certain action as a grown adult to young minors, and that cannot be changed regardless of what you say your intention is.
About it. My intention wasn't to hurt or do anything negative ever. Now that doesn't...
Again, this is a terrible argument because how many actual predators out there have used this argument? In my years of where I've seen people come out with their apologies for messaging their fans in that way, underage fans, When I've heard certain apologies, they always love to say, I didn't intend to hurt them. I didn't intend to cause them trauma. That's great, buddy. I don't care about what you intended or didn't intend to do. People have been traumatized in this story for multiple different reasons. So no, I'm not going to care about what your intentions were, because the reality is we need to focus on your actions, not your intentions. Because I don't know what you were intending to do in 2020 or 2016 or 2017, but I know what your actions were. I've seen the screenshots. I've seen the receipts.
I mean that people weren't hurt.
Right.
And that's the part that I wish I had paid more attention to. But I obviously didn't handle the situation the way that I should have. And it's really embarrassing. I wish that I could handle it a lot differently than I did.
When you say that, are you talking about like the apology
Talking
videos?
about a musical instrument that I should have.
So is she not even talking about her actions here? Is she just saying, I wish I handled the apology differently? Again, I don't know what's like going on with Colleen's brain. So she's saying that she wished in hindsight she could have navigated the apology differently. Colleen, you were facing, as you've said, predatory allegations, and your first thought was to get on camera with a ukulele and sing a sing-song. That was your thought. I genuinely think you need to realize that something is wrong, because you didn't realize that what you were doing previously with your underage fans was bad, and you still seem to not realize it when you pulled out a ukulele, and you also didn't realize that singing a song to an audience that are absolutely angry with you because of your horrible actions is going to go down terribly. Are you telling me that you really didn't realize that the ukulele was going to be this astronomically hilarious thing that you get mocked for the rest of your life?
Not picked up. Yes. I mean, I should have listened to what people were saying, and I should have...
I think people want an apology.
Yes, they do want an apology. And finally, we've had a bit of like combative nature against Colleen here. But also, I'm sorry. Let's just go back to what Colleen just said there. That is utterly hilarious.
I mean, I should have listened to what people were saying.
Nobody out there was saying, Colleen, I think it's probably best you don't get on camera with a ukulele. No one out there was saying to you, Colleen Ballinger, when you are facing these predatory allegations, for the love of God, don't get on camera and start singing a song about how you're not a groomer. Nobody said to do that. Literally no one, because it was one of those things that it wouldn't even come into my mind. I remember exactly where I was when she dropped that ukulele response. I was walking home. I'd just gone out to hang out with some friends. I was near the O2 in London, and I was just about to go into the tube station, and I see a message. Somebody says to me, Colleen Ballinger has responded, and you won't believe it. And I click on the link and I see it. And I am just... I don't think we'll ever get a moment like this ever again. I don't think we will ever get a moment like this ukulele moment ever again, because it's one of those things where you just think to yourself, how are you... I don't even know. This silly, this dumb, this stupid, this low IQ. It doesn't make sense. Her response was one of the most confusing things, and I still haven't wrapped my head around it to this day. Who on God's green earth thought that it would be a good idea to get on camera and respond in the way she did? I am genuinely concerned about this individual, because it seems that she doesn't understand anything.
And I
think people want an apology. I think people want for you to acknowledge the things that happened on stage. I hope that you give that to them.
Fair play. Fair play. I will say, I believe this is Raven. She's done, I think she's done a lot better than this person. Miranda, not really contributed in any way, hasn't really actually asked any big questions in my opinion, but I can appreciate that she's actually asked that question. I'll take back some of the criticisms I made earlier. That's a good question. Well, statement.
I agree with you. I think that they do want an apology, and I am sorry. And here's the thing, is when you...
What? 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 Did it just glitch?
An apology, and I am sorry. And here's the thing, is when you...
You can't just cut on an apology. You can't just have a cut there. What? So, what was removed there? I want to know that what did they just take out of this section? I am so confused right now. Who thought that this would be a good idea? I would absolutely love to know what she said between that jump cut and this jump cut. Is the apology going to continue? I imagine so.
Mess up, but when you make a mistake and do something wrong, sometimes you got to keep apologizing for it.
Yes.
And that's what I should have done.
Yes.
And people keep saying it's an apology.
Wait, so are we just not going to hear her apology? She just said sorry and she was about to say something else, maybe actually go into some detail. The one thing that she's done right, say sorry, was cut short and we're not getting anything else? What?
Song. I didn't apologize in that thing.
You did not.
I did not.
You know what?
There
You are
was
correct.
no
You did not
sorry in
apologize.
that.
Yes, it was the worst response I've ever seen.
You did not. I was actually laughing. Just letting you know.
All right, I actually don't mind Raven. I felt a bit bad for being a bit mean earlier. I think the introduction to this podcast was terrible, and I think they should have just jumped into it straight away. But I don't mind Raven. I think she's done a good job here.
That was some crazy penmanship.
We also, when in watching it, I remember one of the things that we talked about was it felt like you were angry.
Yeah,
and,
I was.
And burnt out and just...
Why is Miranda giving so many excuses here? That's what this is, no? By saying, oh, we felt that you were... I mean, maybe I'm over deep in it, but it's just a weird thing to say.
Fed up. Yeah, fed up.
I was.
Yeah.
And it's very clear.
I think it's clear that you weren't taking any accountability or responsibility for your actions, and there was this bizarre thing in your brain that convinced you that this was the route to go down. Absolutely the worst decision that you've ever made in your entire career, by the way. But I don't think that there's anything here that excuses or makes me, most importantly, understand your actions that day. There's a difference between being angry and getting on camera and saying, I'm going to sing a song about me being called this horrible thing. Like, are you thinking right? Like, genuinely, are you really saying to me that there was the excuse of being angry is why you did what you did? It's why you got on camera and sung a song? I have seen people go through controversy behind the scenes, and their thought wasn't when they were angry at people, let me jump on camera and start doing a drum solo. That would be an insane thing to do. So I think this is even more insane that she still doesn't understand the insanity of it.
I was angry, and that's why I keep saying I wish that I had just paused for a second and...
What do you mean? Again, she's acting like this happened in real time. There was an entire month of investigation, 2 months. I remember thinking that I was late to the story, and I still managed to make 2 3-hour videos and I believe 1 5-hour video about the entire story. I covered it from back to front, and then there was still time for Colleen to say something, and then one day, like a week after it, she decided to get on camera and release an apology. I may be wrong with my timelines and upload dates there, but she had a lot of time. She had a lot of time to process her thoughts. There was the entire internet criticizing her. If she wanted to understand what she had done wrong, she could have just looked at Twitter, she could have looked at YouTube, she could have looked at TikTok and Instagram, but no, she decided to bide her time and come back with a sing-song. The argument of, I wish I took more time or something like that, or just took a pause, is hilarious because you took a pause for weeks and then you uploaded a video and manually chose to post it with a title and thumbnail. I don't care what anyone says. This is absolute nonsense designed to manipulate you into feeling bad for her and to kind of change the storyline here and make it seem like this all happened in one day. That absolutely is not the case. This was a long story that was drawn out over 4 to 5 to 6 years.
Listened to my fans,
If there's anyone you need to not to speak to, Colleen, if there's anyone you need to not to speak to, it's your fans. Have you not learned anything?
Supporters.
And process.
Because while there were things being said about me that weren't true,
Again, the James Charles technique there, get that right in there, subtly put that through and people might believe it.
People who would support me for so many years that I'm up here saying, like, I just wanted them to be happy, I wanted to make them happy. Well, they wanted an explanation. They wanted to understand what's going on. And they deserved that. And I didn't give it to them. Instead, I was angry.
So she's not even basically saying here that she should have said sorry. She's just saying that she should have just got onto her YouTube channel and explained it to her fans in hopes that they stayed. That's kind of what I'm taking from this. I'm taking her saying here, that she should have explained everything in her way to make her fans feel better. Not an apology for what she has done, not saying sorry because her actions are just completely terrible, but just, I should have, I don't know, made my fans feel better.
Sang a song, and which is crazy.
It blew shit up.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was.
I'm aware.
Okay, I'm just letting you know that was crazy, bro.
Absolutely crazy. And I think,
I think even Raven's I get the feeling that Miranda likes Colleen more than Raven likes Colleen, because it is one of the most insane things that I think I've ever seen on the internet, and it will be inexplainable for the rest of history.
The dust did settle, because I like you were saying, I did want to address it, and I was being told, I got a lot of advice from a lot of people, and the majority of the advice was don't say anything. And I'm sure you know from being in the industry for so long.
I tell her all the time, don't say nothing.
Right.
Yeah, but that's different. Your friend, if they get into a controversy for making a tweet that's a bad opinion or something like that, that is different. And that's kind of what I'm sick and tired about when it comes to these situations. People love to conflate serious allegations that have happened in these types of situations with just regular YouTube drama. I'm sorry, but this isn't that. This is a very serious situation where a lot of people have been affected. This isn't, ignore the people who are mad at you for your latest tweet. This is, no, you should address these things because these are life altering and you have affected other people out there, other children out there. You have altered the trajectories of their lives. So no, this isn't anything like what she's saying here and isn't comparable to whatever Miranda got into, I don't know, in her controversies in the past.
Don't address it. Don't say anything. It will just make it worse. Don't address it. Don't say anything. It'll just make it worse. But I'm a different position than a traditional celebrity because people watch me because I was so open and I talked about everything. I mean, I've talked about everything like that. I've been through my mental health and my.
I don't care. I'm saying, like, she can deal with those things and good for her, but I don't care about this. I don't.
Births and my pregnancies and my journey to fame. Everything I've been through, I've talked about online very openly.
Yes, but you didn't get a ukulele out and start singing a song about your mental health, as far as I know, at least.
And so, my audience, that was one of the reasons they liked watching me. And so then to suddenly be like...
Again, this is what I'm saying. Do you hear... This is what I said earlier about her lack of understanding of the world. And by the way, I know she understands it. I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to go off this bait that she's putting out there of, I just didn't understand it. I just thought this was how I do things. And the thing of she was saying earlier of, I wish I had somebody there to tell me that it's bad to inappropriately message my fans. These are all things that are just a complete load of lies. She knows that she should have never done what she did. She knew that all the things that she did was bad. And back when Adam McIntyre was originally calling her out in 2021 or whenever it was, she knew then that it was bad and she chose to stay silent. She didn't say anything then. She just allowed him to be slandered, to be called a liar, and to be pretty much traumatized. And now she's getting onto her podcast or whatever to tell us that actually now she realizes that all this is bad, and she's just trying to rewrite history. As we keep on going through this, it's getting worse and worse and worse, and it's more turning into a thing of, please just feel bad for me, guys. I've always been like this on my channel, and that's why it's completely normal. I've always spoke to my fans in this degenerate way. It's just how I worked, and I just thought that's why I'll get on camera and start singing a song about not being a predator. It's mental. Do you hear yourself?
Not only am I not going to talk about this, I'm going to sing this song about it. And it was such a choice.
It was such a
I mean, she's not wrong.
choice.
I very much.
Such a choice, bro.
Yes. And so I think, I was getting so frustrated because I was just let me just address this. Please let me just talk. I just want to talk about it.
You didn't address it. You got on camera and started singing a song.
This. And so finally after I posted the video, it was shortly after I posted it, I was talking to someone on the phone from my team. And I was like, oh.
Wait, let me get this straight. Earlier you were saying to us you needed a team to tell you to not do things. You said to us you needed a team to tell you to not do certain things because you just didn't really have the brain comprehension to understand that certain bad things wouldn't fly well on the internet. But now you have a team. You still uploaded this. This was your first response to everything. Do you hear yourself? You're only digging yourself a bigger hole.
Huge mistake.
Because what you're saying here indicates that you wouldn't have even listened to your team in the first place. Say, theoretically, like 8 years ago, or whenever these actions all took place originally, if you had a team then, you probably would have just ignored them in the first place, like you've clearly ignored your team here, who would have said to you, yes, Colleen Ballinger, don't get on camera and sing a song about not being a predator.
That was really stupid. It was like there was so much, I have to say something, and finally I let it out.
What does regret feel like?
Oh, it's horrible.
I mean, you're regretting the fact that you've lost your entire career and you're probably not having millions come in the bank every single month anymore. You're not regretting the fact that you did something bad. You're not regretting the fact that you've traumatized somebody. You're not regretting any of that. In my opinion, you just regret the fact that you were caught.
Horrible. It's horrible. Because because you want to fix it. You can't fix it. And that's the worst. Like, I wanted to fix it so bad, and there was no fixing it. There was nothing I could do to fix it. And that was so awful. That was so, because not only did I not address anything that I wanted to address, not only did I not, dispute the lies that I wanted to dispute. And
again, she's bringing up the lies. She's trying to make this seem less worse than it actually is. This is such a bad response, by the way. Like, I genuinely argue that this is worse than the Ukelele response, because at least in that response, all we saw was somebody just completely losing their mind. But in this is calculated. This is manipulative. This is PR written all over it, man. This is genuinely an abomination of a response. And again, it shows she hasn't learned and changed, because did she really think getting into this podcast would change anything? Did she really think that going onto a podcast and speaking in the way that she is in this podcast was going to win back the fans, was going to convince the internet, oh yeah, actually guys, her sending underwear to fans, that's perfectly fine? No one was ever going to say that, and I genuinely cannot believe after 2 years of being cancelled, you thought this was the best way to go about things.
I just made things worse. It was so bad.
By the way, her only ever apology so far was literally cut. She said, I'm sorry, they cut it, and it moved on to something else. That is how bad this is.
So where do you think your mind went during that time, that you were so unable, I guess, to have the perspective you have now?
Were you trying to save a character? Were you trying to save yourself? Were you trying to...
Were you just like completely
blacked out in
kind
anger?
of disconnected from it, and you're like, I'm just going to do this because I'm pissed?
I feel like it was a little bit of all of it. I mean, it was really overwhelming to...
Sorry, I've got to speed it up. This is taking too long.
Have these words thrown around in connection to me and my name that are really horrible. I mean, that's a horrible thing to be.
There's a reason that they've been thrown around, though. There's a reason that these allegations have come out about you. It's not like these are just baseless allegations with no proof or evidence whatsoever. There is a reason to why all of your fan base completely abandoned you. You literally said before this that you were devastated that your fans had left. You were devastated realizing that fans were going because they were mad and upset at you for the things that you had done.
And to be accused of when you know that you are not that, especially because, in my opinion, that's one of the worst things a person can be. It probably is. And so to be accused of that, knowing that I'm not that.
Are you speaking of grooming?
Grooming. Grooming and in any way harming children.
Yeah.
Is the opposite of something or someone I am or ever would want to be.
That's not true. Unfortunately, that's not true for your sake. You have harmed children. You have. With your actions, you have. Now, you can say that you're not a G-word or whatever you want to call it, a groomer. You're not that. You can say that if you really want to say that. But at the end of the day, people are going to call you it for your actions. People have seen what you have done in the past, and unfortunately, to a lot of people out there, for your sake at least, unfortunately, that fits their textbook definition. Now, we can debate, the semantics of it. We can debate the semantics of the word. I am personally here just to say that what she did in 2018 or whenever it was absolutely heinous, and there is no excuse for it. And her saying it wasn't her intent to hurt anyone, it wasn't her intent to do this, to do that, she was just trying to be a good YouTuber to her fans, it doesn't change anything. We're judging you by your actions, not your supposed intentions. And by the way, she should have known these things were bad 7, 8, 9 years ago. She should have known it, but she's trying to pretend that she didn't, which is absolutely bollocks.
And so to be connected to those words was devastating. It still is. And that's something that will,
it'll follow you around.
It will.
It will follow you around.
It will.
And rightly so.
Moments in your live shows where there were children brought up on stage and you were as Showbiz says, going for the funny in a lot of moments. However, looking back at moments, there is another person on the internet who is saying that when she went up on stage for your live show, she was a part of the yoga challenge section of your show. And it made them feel gross. Later in life, they were essayed. And when they look back at that moment with you, they feel similar feelings. Can you dive a little bit deeper into what happened at the yoga challenge?
It was a challenge on YouTube for a while for people to try out different yoga poses. Like couples would do it together because if you're not experienced in yoga, it's difficult to do. And so since I'm a YouTuber on my live show, sometimes I would do challenges from YouTube. So I did that challenge and I'd have people come up on stage and we would try out different yoga poses that popped up on the screen. And obviously we could never do them and I would be, flailing about as Miranda. And there was one pose where there are two people and both legs are spread open, you're holding each other's legs. And I genuinely never thought of it as a sexual or inappropriate thing. To me, the joke was that when the legs were open to do the pose.
I have not seen the clip she's describing for a while, but I remember it happening. Like I remember the clip going viral and the people speaking about it. I spoke about it in previous videos, and I remember it being incredibly inappropriate. So once again, what we have here is her trying to change the narrative of the situation. She's admitting, obviously, these things happened. She's admitting that this person had her feelings, but she's trying to divert the situation and people's beliefs about what actually happened by, again, stating what her intention was her. And again, unfortunately, Colleen, that's not going to work because we're not judging on intention, we're judging on actions.
The fart sound effect came on screen. So it was like once the legs opened up, there was a fart sound. And to me, that was all I thought that joke was. I never knew that was something that would make someone feel uncomfortable and trigger emotions and feelings. I feel terrible about that. Genuinely, when I heard about that, I felt so bad because that is something I'd never want to do.
Are you going to say sorry then?
Trigger anyone, but especially a girl who's been through horrible things in that manner.
Are you going to say sorry?
It feels so terrible that me doing this silly yoga joke, in my mind, was silly yoga joke, could be something that could trigger her in such a negative way and affect her in such a negative way. And it's awful. And I'm really proud of anyone who's been able to come forward and
is this just going to be excuses for the rest of the entire podcast? Let's try and see if they go any further into the actual details, because we've gotten through the main part now. I don't want to watch pretty much every single minute of this podcast. I mainly wanted to see if she actually says sorry. So let's skip a bit forward.
How it seemed to me, I didn't think more about how that could be affecting the younger people in the audience.
Do you feel like you have a different perspective now between, let's say, like bad judgment and harmful behavior?
I definitely do. Yeah, I certainly think that and especially now, now that I'm a mom, obviously every choice I make, I think about how it could affect my children. And I wish that I went into my interactions with my fans with that same mindset.
Again, this is what I mentioned earlier towards the beginning of the podcast. She's doing the Ned Former tactic, and it's genuinely disgusting. She's saying, oh, well, now I've done this. Now I've got this. Now it's possible those events that have actually taken place and, have traumatized people. Now that's happened. I've realized, guys, that, messaging kids is actually a bad thing. Now I've got kids. I've realized that actually that's bad. Well, unfortunately, that doesn't resurrect this situation. That doesn't change anything. And to me, what I'm hearing here is just more excuses. I'm hearing somebody trying to make this all seem a lot less worse. I'm hearing somebody manipulate their audience that's remaining, or trying to manipulate people like us into thinking, oh, she's grown and she's changed. Well, unfortunately, my friends, that doesn't work in the context of what we're talking about today. That type of argument of growing and change is, oh, this person used to have terrible political opinions and now they've grown and changed and become a better person. I can accept that, for that type of argument. But this, I can't accept it. I don't care that you've got children. I don't care that that's made you realize that, oh, messaging kids is a bad thing. That's just something that most human beings know is a bad thing. I don't have kids and I know that's a bad thing. So it's worrying that you in your 20s didn't know that that was a bad thing.
Everything I say can affect them, and think about how this can affect these people that you're interacting with.
Did parents ever confront you after? Did you ever get any kind of interaction with an adult who said, this didn't feel good for me and my child?
No, I never did personally. I don't know if someone got that message and I never received it. The only complaint I ever remember receiving in that way, in person from a live show or anything, was at the beginning of my shows, I used to do a ukulele song. Where I would,
damn ukulele.
Jesus.
I know. Where I would sing the hate comments that I received. And there was hate comments, so there was a lot of bad language, and the comments were on the screen, and I would sing them.
Don't care, let's skip forward.
People were laughing with you and quote unquote at you because of the character. It must feel so like two-faced for you, for all these people who were laughing with you. And then all of a sudden,
have them turn against you.
I don't, yes, it's painful to see people who support.
Well, they've turned against her because she messaged kids. Like, I don't understand the argument we're making here. They turned against her for a pretty valid reason, in my humble opinion. I don't get why we're even asking that question. And this is kind of why I don't even want to go through the rest of this podcast. We're going to get through a bit more, don't get me wrong, but I just know this is just going to be nonsense from here on out. We're 35 minutes in. We haven't necessarily had a proper apology. We've had an I'm sorry, but it got cut off. That was the main reason we were here, and it got cut off. But let's hear what she has to say. Does she feel betrayed by her fans?
Me and laughed with me and all this stuff. Suddenly turn and change their mind about it. But I don't blame anyone but me for. I completely blame myself, especially because I know that people do make mistakes and people can.
I clapped you and I regret it instantly, man. Jesus, I thought you were about to say something that actually makes sense. But no, it's, guys, people make mistakes. What you did isn't a mistake. You traumatized people. I'm sorry, but you absolutely did that. So no, this isn't just, I made a little mistake, guys. A little mistake is, guys, sorry, I said something dumb. I got a fact wrong in my commentary video. It's not, guys, sorry, I mistakenly sent my underwear to somebody. Guys, sorry, I sent my Calvin Kleins to somebody again. Royal Mail, Express 24 hours delivery, and they sent it to their address. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to do that. That's not a valid excuse, because it's not an excuse.
Learn and grow and change. And one of my biggest mistakes was not listening and addressing things and taking responsibility.
God, it's just more of what we've gone through. Is this going to be...
I just want you to forget that.
I will never...
Is this just going to be a repeat of everything they've said so far? I've got to learn, grow, and change. I wish I had people there to tell me not to do it before. I wish I was the person that I am now. That doesn't change anything. Is there going to be anything of value here?
Joke you what?
Cut it. I stopped doing it because it was... my fans were, a lot of them were younger at this point. So I was like, I'm not... Obviously, this joke is not... I'm not going to do this anymore. It's not working. It's not appropriate. And so I cut that. I regret doing that. I should have never brought kids up on stage, even though the joke was that...
Okay, so you regret bringing up kids on stage. Okay, you regret it because you were caught. That's basically it. They're I feel like the vibe I'm getting from all of this is she just regrets that she was caught in pretty much every aspect. I'm not getting an I'm sorry. So I am going to just skip through it. There's still nothing of value.
Everyone is saying kind of the same thing.
Something of value.
Everyone seems to know the joke. Everyone seems to understand it. Everyone is saying, send it. And then you have this person not dropping it after that, but continuing the conversation weeks after this has happened. I can see where you don't think about potential negative consequence because in that moment it feels pure.
And you're not sending it in a sexual manner.
No. Well, I appreciate that. But at the same time, it was my responsibility to know.
Okay, they're talking about the messages. Let's go back.
In there somewhere. That was maybe not, because I hesitated. But then I was like, and I didn't send it. I didn't. Something like that. I was doing a live stream and I always loved giving away gifts to my fans.
Here we go.
Send
Finally,
them a bobby
40
pin of
minutes
Miranda's
in.
or a lipstick of Miranda, an old shirt, Usually it was to encourage them to donate to a charity event that I would do every year. But I loved giving out stuff. And so I was doing a live stream like I did pretty often, and I was opening up a box of
Let's talk about Adam
clothes that I bought.
McIntyre.
And in it was this underwear bra set that I didn't order. And it was we were all laughing about it. So everyone in the chat was laughing about it, me and my friend. And he actually put it on over his clothes. I was like,
Recontextualizing the situation here, by the way. The recontextualizing the situation. It was still yours. It was still your underwear. Even if you didn't order it or whatever, it's still yours. And I think it is still inappropriate to send it to a kid. That is very weird. Why would you even be in communication with that kid in the first place? And we know they had direct communication. She's recontextualizing the situation to benefit her. And do not accept this. This is insane.
And we were laughing about it. And there are people in the comments saying, send that to me. Send that one to me. And we were like, we're not going to do that. That's crazy. But then there's one fan in particular who kept asking us to send it.
Adam,
and
I believe.
I was like, obviously you can tell in the live, I'm hesitant about it because there is a little bit of brains in there somewhere.
There's a little thing in there that makes you think, this would be an incredibly inappropriate thing. And just because if they are consistent with asking you for something, it doesn't mean you then reward them with that something, right? Does that make sense, guys? If somebody is saying, if a kid's going up to you and saying, I don't know, can I hang out with you? You're 25 years old. Can I hang out with you? You say no. You keep saying no, or you just ignore them and they keep on asking. You don't just cave in. You don't just cave in and send them your underwear, obviously. So what argument is this?
That was maybe not, because I hesitated. But then I was like, and I didn't send it. I didn't. But then it just became an inside joke with the fandom, and everyone was telling me to send it, and he kept asking for it. It was months of this. And so finally I did, and it was very public.
She's basically blaming the fans here. She's basically stating, it became a joke in the fandom, it just kept on happening, and I just ended up doing it. I just ended up sending it. You clearly knew that it was bad, by the way. But the fact that you didn't send it originally, and you also just said there was hesitation in your mind, you knew it was bad, and yet you still admit to doing it. But despite that, you're still still trying to change the narrative of what actually happened here by your intentionality of everything.
As a joke. And it was like a part of my brain was missing an action of like, hey, this is not a good idea.
Yeah, it's a really bad idea. And now you're acting like you have suddenly realized that and it changes anything.
It's bad. It wasn't a pair of my...
Are you going to say sorry?
Something that I sent to a young fan in an inappropriate way, but it was inappropriate. Like, why would I, what part of me thought like, everyone will know this is a silly joke in the fandom? Like that was, I wish I'd never done that. That was so inappropriate. And if he...
Say sorry?
...was made to feel uncomfortable because of that, like, I feel terrible.
If he was made to feel uncomfortable about that, this is the same individual who we're talking about here that has spoken about Colleen and the actions that she has done for years now, was called a liar about it originally. She did nothing to dismiss that. She did nothing to say sorry to him until, and even then she's barely, I don't even think she's made an apology directly to him. And still, she is still changing the narrative on it to this day. She is still not owning up to it. She's still not taking any accountability, in my opinion. She's just trying to change what people think happened. She's trying to make people think her intentionality was different.
So sorry, because that was not my intention with that. I thought it was like a silly inside joke with the whole fandom. It was all very public, and it was
the inside joke of sending your 13-year-old fan underwear. Great joke, mate.
I thought it was a silly thing, and it was so stupid.
It's also difficult, I think, in that specific situation when you feel like
Are you going to make... Please don't make excuses. Please don't make excuses. I will turn this podcast off right now if you make an excuse.
Given permission, if you will, because everyone is saying kind of the same thing. Everyone seems in on the joke. Everyone seems to understand it. Everyone is saying, send it. And then you have this person not dropping it after that, but continuing the conversation.
Yeah, you don't just cave. You don't cave. They're a kid. Of course they're going to be acting this way. They're a kid speaking to their favorite influencer.
After this has happened, I can see where you don't...
No, you can't see it. What are you saying? It almost sounds like you're agreeing with it.
About potential negative consequence, because in that moment it feels pure.
And you're not sending it in a sexual manner.
No.
Oh God, what are these excuses? It doesn't matter. The intentionality of it. You did it. You sent it. The action has happened. Oh my God. Again, change the gender. If I sent out my underwear, my lovely Calvin Klein, I don't even own Calvin Klein's. It's just the only underwear brand I know. If I send them to a 13-year-old girl in my audience, send me to jail, lock away the jail cell, throw away the key. That's obviously an insane thing. Why are we making this argument here? This is genuinely disgusting, and I really do feel bad for Adam McIntyre in this situation. Even years on, his story is being demolished by this horrible load of nonsense. People are still trying to doubt him, recontextualize him, change the narrative on what happened, and it is just disgusting.
Well, I appreciate that, but at the same time, like, it was my responsibility to know.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I shouldn't send this. This could look really bad.
Say
That's
sorry.
to make people uncomfortable. Yeah. Yes. That's where, even though it doesn't matter how many people are egging it on or asking for it, begging for it, and thinking it was so funny and everyone, it seems like this joke, I should have taken a second and been like, maybe send a bobby pin.
Maybe don't send anything to the 13-year-old fan.
Yeah.
This is not the thing to send to someone. This is not something
a silver one or a black one?
Well, I think I usually use the black ones.
Yeah, the brown one, that's cute.
Reds.
Something else.
Oh, that's great. We're joking. We're making little funny jokes, little quirky jokes about her sending underwear to fans. That's definitely not weird and odd.
That has come up and been discussed is the fact that you would participate in group chats with
your
fans, and there were minors in those chats,
yes.
And there would be questions regarding their virginity and sex positions.
Right.
Inappropriate questions are being asked to underage people. What was going on?
That's true. It's completely inappropriate. And I used to do this weekly question and answer thing with my audience. And
oh God, she says, yeah, that was true, and we used to do it weekly. Is that what she's about to say?
That particular group chat was full of a bunch of different fans of all ages, but they were crass and funny and ridiculous, and they would, whenever I asked for questions for my channel, they would...
Again, recontextualizing the situation, not really admitting to a fault other than saying that, yes, that happened, they were crass, they were funny. She's trying to put it into your mind that she thought that this was a funny group chat and she could say anything in it. You're a grown adult, you're a YouTuber, already a power dynamic there are children in that group chat, there is no excuse for it being crass and funny.
Asking me questions like that. They would ask me questions they knew I wouldn't answer that were over the top, inappropriate. So when one of them, which this part of the conversation is now deleted, those parts of the conversations are deleted or gone or somehow, I don't know. But when they asked for questions for theirs, I was trying to do the same jokes that they had just previously been doing with me. Stupid and inappropriate.
Why were you in a chat where they were doing it with you in the first place? Why were you in a chat where you were experiencing that type of humor with your underage fans? It's not stupid what you just said. You just said stupid. It wasn't stupid. It was wrong. It was disgusting, and it should have never happened. And you're still trying to alter what happened, even though you're on this podcast, which is apparently your actual apology.
It shouldn't have done it. I feel really embarrassed and stupid. And
did you know they were underage at the time?
I knew that there were teenagers in the chat. Yeah.
Oh God, Jesus! And she still hasn't got into the apology. She said, "I'm sorry" 30 minutes ago, and that was that on a cut, by the way.
I did know that, and I also thought, well, they all know I'm not serious.
Are they going to make any more jokes after this? By the way, she's just admitted to inappropriately conversing with 13-year-olds about seriously disturbing things. Are they going to make any more jokes? Because if they do make jokes, that is absolutely disgusting. Look at who you're talking to. For this entire podcast, they've been trying to say that this person isn't a predator, pretty much. I can understand why somebody would say that's predatory. Being in group chats, in approaching your 30s, acting in the way she did, I can get why people would say that she is predatory.
Answers these questions.
Because again, if it was a man with a bunch of 13-year-old girls, we would say 100% that's predatory. Why is it any different here?
They all know that I'm just joking around like they do this to me. They know I'm not going to answer the questions. I know they don't want to answer. Like I thought like this was, it was clear between all of us that like I was joking. I didn't actually want.
Again, recontextualizing it. She's not taking any responsibility. I was joking, guys. It was clear. It wasn't clear. They were 13-year-old. They were teenagers. They were kids. They were children. Probably wasn't clear to them. They probably thought they had a bit of a chance with you. They probably thought that, maybe I can become really close with Colleen. Maybe I can become besties with Colleen. So no, this isn't just this was a clear thing. It might have been clear to you, which personally I don't believe. I don't believe that you set any boundaries in your brain whatsoever, because you basically told us that in this same podcast. You said to us that you need a team to tell you to do things before you do them in regards to boundaries with children. So no, I don't think there were any boundaries there. I don't think it was clear, especially to how kids are. Young children who are fans of somebody, if their adult superstar celebrity is speaking to them in a certain way that you were, they're not going to know if that's clear or not, because they're kids. They don't understand the boundaries. They don't understand what's clear and what's real and what's not real.
From this person, I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny to ask a really absurd, crazy question. And there were a bunch of questions I asked. Those were just
definitely normal for the 30-year-old woman or approaching 30 to think it was funny to speak inappropriately to minors.
A few of the awful ones that I did, and I should have never done that. That was crazy of me.
It wasn't in a grooming fashion.
Absolutely not.
Oh, God. It wasn't in this fashion. Again, speaking about intentionality, trying to change the narrative here by saying, it wasn't my intention to do this. Let's focus on the action. Let's focus on the actions of what she did. I don't care about the intentionality here. She did what she did. And again, I'm sorry to keep on saying the gender thing, because it does make me feel like I'm this conservative, anti-woke YouTuber. I'm as woke as it gets, baby. But what I'm saying is, though, I feel like there is a genuine thing with young boys, young victims who are boys, not being taken seriously, and their stories are just dismissed so much. And I feel that's exactly what is happening here with Adam McIntyre and all of the other fans that were involved. It's genuinely disgraceful that it's still happening, and they've got onto a podcast 2 years after everything and believed that this was the right way to do it.
A stupid fashion. It was like I shouldn't.
For the laugh?
A stupid fashion. Are we hearing this?
For the laugh. I thought it would make them laugh. I thought they'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. Ha ha ha. Like how they did with me often. They were very funny. That group chat of all these different guys. They were very funny, very dedicated, wonderful.
They were kids. They were children.
So you were being one of the kids.
Yeah, right.
And you had forgotten.
No, she was again, what are these excuses for Miranda here? You were being one of the kids. She was a grown woman.
Yeah,
so
right.
Imagine if this argument was used in a courtroom, for example. Oh, sorry, I was just being one of the kids when I did these incredibly inappropriate things. That's insane.
Acting more like one of your kid viewers versus remembering that you were actually the adult in the chat.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my God. We're not in Split here. She doesn't just become another human being. She's not doing that. She is still Colleen Ballinger. What am I listening to here?
Lends itself to the power dynamic that you had referenced earlier, where you kind of had lost the awareness of that relationship.
Stop. Do you hear yourself?
Dynamic.
There was no part of me that was wanting that information truly from them. I wasn't trying to get anything out of them. I was just trying to be like one of them, which is embarrassing to admit, because that was not my responsibility in that time. I was trying to be silly like them and be their friend, when in reality I was the one who's supposed to be the responsible one. I was the adult there that should have never participated in that conversation and should have never joked with them about that kind of stuff. There's the power dynamic there, that parasocial relationship that I wasn't thinking about, which was irresponsible of me. Like I should have been thinking about that, and I should have removed myself from that chat immediately when they were joking about things that were inappropriate. I shouldn't have ever participated in those conversations.
By the way, she's recontextualizing things there too. She just said when they were joking about these things, you were the one that was joking about these things, and we've seen evidence that you initialized these conversations. I'm so tired. I'm tired of listening to this and the lies. This is so insane.
And it was rare that I was in there talking to them, but that is one of the moments where I did interact, and I wish that I hadn't.
Let's talk about JoJo for a second. So we know JoJo. You know JoJo. You became friends with her when she was how old?
Let's just get to the juice and then call it a day, honestly.
Come over to our family gatherings and hang out with my family where we... Yes.
And within an industry of entertainment, which is what YouTube is now, people are going to interact of all different backgrounds and all different ages.
Yes.
And there are so many YouTube kids that are not on YouTube because they're doing it themselves. They have their parents there with them. And we know Jess as well. We know the family.
I'm sorry for getting annoyed at how I'm handling this, by the way, but it's just so jarring to listen to.
There will never, ever be a time where Jess is not aware of what JoJo is doing.
Yeah.
And I want to keep people aware that we really do have to be careful in how we throw stones at people when we don't know the entire story. When there is a culture within the entertainment
Stop. Oh my God, please.
industry that not a lot of people understand.
Mm-hmm. So much has happened, and
Is that really it? Is that really all we're saying here?
I can only imagine that having to absorb and internalize all this, a lot of it must have made you have to change. I want to know about some of these changes you've gone through since the
I don't care. I do not care. So the next 10 minutes is basically just going to be, I've changed. I've done all of these things to make me feel better about myself. Okay, now the comments are basically just her pretty much just these people are getting absolutely... I don't know what I'm saying here. These people are getting angry. They're getting very angry, and I can understand too. What is wrong with y'all for platforming someone who is still to this day claiming that her victims are lying? Exactly. She literally was doing it in this podcast. The gaslighting during this entire episode is insane. I feel so bad for all of Colleen's victims. Again, I completely agree. She hasn't apologized to the children she affected. Again, completely agree. All she did was say, I'm sorry, and then there was a jump cut. That literally was it. There was nothing else. It was just jump cut. We're going to move on from there. She said she's sorry. And they have the gall to say the exclusive apology. No, it's not. No, it's not. She said, I'm sorry for 3 seconds and didn't really go into any detail about why she's sorry. And then the rest of the podcast was just her making excuses for the entire thing. So no, I don't think that this is going to exactly go down well with Colleen Ballinger. And if anyone's going to be making an apology, I imagine it's tea time with Raven and Miranda. Because as much as I think Raven did do good here and there, I think towards the ending, the level of excuses were genuinely insane. The level of just allowing Colleen to get away with what she was saying and also to back her in some of the situations that she was speaking about is genuinely wild. This is an hour and 4 minutes of Colleen dismissing her victims, saying that they were lies, and basically not apologizing to any of them directly. And that's how I'm going to kind of end this very messy video that isn't really it's not like a video that I usually do on this main channel. She should have apologized directly to her victims. But not just that, she should have said their names. She should have said, I am sorry, Adam McIntyre. But she never did that, because I genuinely believe that she still is resentful to all of these people. I don't think she's taken accountability. I believe that she probably still thinks that they're all liars and that they're all people that have just completely ruined her career out of, I don't know, being evil or something on those lines. Because if she had genuinely taken accountability, if she was genuinely sorry, she would get on camera, not in a podcast, but on camera for 5 minutes, said the victims' names, apologized to them directly, and ended the video there. So no, I don't think this is going to help Colleen Ballinger. If anything, this is just going to light another fire about how terrible she truly is. But yeah, with that, I'm going to end the video there. I genuinely cannot believe what I just watched for an hour and a half straight. I'm sorry if it wasn't very edited or what you would really expect from me, but I feel like stuff like this, sometimes you just need to do unscripted. I knew it was going to be bad based on some of the clips that I've already seen, but I didn't expect it to be this bad. Genuinely, probably the worst podcast episode I've ever watched in my entire life. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, and yeah, bye-bye.